What's up, collectors? Welcome back to Films by Color. We are doing another ranking video today, and I've got a special guest with me. Look at him. He's here in person. I don't have guests in person very often.
I feel so special.
Yeah. We're going to do a top 10 summer movies for you. You already know that. You saw the title in the video. Why are we doing this? Because John Malahy is a published author, and he wrote this book for TCM called Summer Movies, which has 30 sun-drenched classics, as it says, but there's actually 60 movies in here.
Yeah.
Because this really cool thing that you did, you went the extra mile and did a double feature for there's a little section called Make It a Double Feature that he has for every single one of the films. So 60 summer movies in here.
That's cheating, basically. I mean, I had a list of
You couldn't narrow it down?
I had about 300. There are more. I was still adding to it after the book came out, so I don't know.
We're just talking about 10 in this video. So you're
that was. You know how hard that was? You do, because you did the same thing.
I had to do it. That wasn't as hard for me because I haven't seen as many as you. So I'm okay.
That's true.
But there's a lot of cool sections in here, not just the double feature thing, but you also have vacation inspiration, which must have took a lot of research. To do.
Yeah, it was easy for the first 5, and then I had to keep going because I had committed. Yeah. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, I like travel. Who doesn't like summer vacations? And there's a wide mix of different countries, but also,
If you like John, if you've seen him in my Criterion Hall videos, check out his book. I was hearing in the comments how they like listening to you talk about movies. This is him talking about movies for 60 movies. So check it out before summer is over. We're a little late getting to this video. We wanted to do it a little earlier, but I mean, summer happens every year.
I mean, the movies will be around for any season, really.
Yeah.
It'll get you in the summer mood when it's cold and gray.
Yeah, and you gave me a copy of this book, so thank you so much for that. I've been flipping through it since you gave it to me, and it's a really cool book. I love the design of it. Matches perfectly with another one that you gave me over there, which will be coming soon. We're going to do some videos about that too. But let's get into our top 10 summer movies. We're just going to go back and forth, each going through our top 10. These are, for me anyway, we can do a little background. For me anyway, these are just my personal favorites. I wasn't trying to be objective or think of the iconic summer movies that you need to watch. These are just ones that have left a permanent impact on me personally, and I want to talk about them a little bit. What's your thinking going on?
I had kind of the same thought. There's obviously movies that you must see, and I'll probably mention those at some point.
Yeah.
But, I didn't want to do that because you can find that anywhere in my book, actually. But,
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. These are any fine book retailer.
That's true. Barnes & Noble.
It's a mix of some of my favorites and ones that I think are the most summery, I guess. Mm-hmm. And there's also a bunch of different subcategories of summer movies. So there's road trip movies and summer sports movies and beach movies and European travel movies and all that. So I'm trying to be a little representative of each of those.
Okay.
But I think I'm gonna kind of work my way up to the most summary.
Okay, the most summary movie.
Because, and shall we start with 10 here?
Sure, go ahead, jump in. Because that segues in perfectly. Go ahead.
Because this is not that summary. If that's kind of word, it is a word now.
Yeah, it's summer-esque. This
is a movie that it's the very first one I wrote about for the book.
Oh.
And it did not get included.
Oh. It was just it was like a rough draft.
It got replaced by another one, which I also love, but it's anyway. This is a Hitchcock movie.
Oh, like Hitchcock.
That I think it takes place in the summer. So one of my parameters for writing the book was that it was supposed to be some more universal experience that happens in the summertime, and the movie should ideally, take place in the summer or be in a summery environment.
Yeah.
So all that to say, number 10 is Alfred Hitchcock's The Man Who Knew Too Much. And let's see if I can get it without any glare on it.
Nice.
There it is.
Interesting. I don't think of that as a summer movie, but it takes place in the summer.
I don't know. Have you seen this?
I've seen it. I've seen both.
What?
I actually prefer the 30s version. I know.
Oh, it's good.
I guess I'm a weirdo.
That's not a summer movie because that takes place and there's skiing and
it's a winter
such.
movie. We should maybe talk about doing top 10 winter movies at some point. Or I guess fall would be next.
We should do fall.
We should do fall.
Well, winter is kind of you have all your Christmas movies.
Yeah, well, maybe it's true. I mean, we could easily do a Christmas one, but maybe we should do a non-Christmas
winter.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know this was a summer movie.
Well, it is for me, and it's because it's about so it's Jimmy Stewart and Doris Day and their son, and I guess Jimmy Stewart, I don't remember exactly what his position is, but he's in Europe on business, and he takes his family with them, and then they wind up going to Morocco, among other places.
Yeah.
And it was one of those great 50s, like, kind of travelogue things where they would shoot outside the country, too, which is...
I remember, the scene I remember most is the great restaurant scene where they're all sitting on the floor. That's in Morocco, I think.
And he's like, you know, Jimmy Stewart's very gangly, and he's trying to, you know... Yeah, they're sitting on the floor, and he's, like, very uncomfortably...
Awkward legs sprawled out everywhere.
And then they meet a couple that they, you know, met a few days before, and they have dinner with them, and, you know, they're very in the know, and Doris Day and Jimmy Stewart aren't, and it's this whole, like, culture clash thing. So that's actually a good example. It's like, it's a good example of people being sort of out of sorts on vacation. And then, you know, it's also like there's this international espionage plot that happens that entangles their family. So it's like vacation gone horribly wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, it totally fits in the category then. I need to get that Blu-ray too, because that is like one of the few that's not in any of the sets. Oh, that's a hard movie to track down. So I need to get that Blu-ray. So
Man Who Knew Too Much got replaced with Rear Window.
Yeah.
In the book.
Okay.
Which, Rear Window's great. Rear Window's probably my favorite movie of all time. So I have no complaints about that. It's a summer movie too, because it takes place in Greenwich Village in the summer, and that's why he has his windows open and hears his neighbors and sees his neighbors and all that.
That was one that I read about in your book, and I didn't think about. I never thought about that as a summer movie. But your opening line was like, this movie. Some movies couldn't take place at any other time because the plot wouldn't have happened if he wouldn't have his windows open. And I was like, John's a good writer, because that was great. But that was one of the ones I flipped to, and I was like, oh yeah, that is a summer movie. All right, my number 10.
Yeah.
My number 10.
Ooh, this is exciting.
Yeah, go. So we haven't told each other.
No.
I wanted this to be a surprise. And my number 10 is going to be a surprise to everyone, because I don't think a lot of people like this movie, but it's a favorite of mine that I have been watching a ton with my kids. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a big fan of animation and a big Disney fan. So we're going to Disney for this one, and it is The Three Caballeros.
Oh my gosh.
The Three Caballeros. Yes. Released for the Disney Movie Club exclusively, along with Saludos Amigos. But I'm going to be talking about Three Caballeros. This is one that I actually had as a kid growing up. We got from like a rental store. It was actually Giant Eagle. I used to live up in Pennsylvania, and Giant Eagle had, you know how grocery stores used to have video rental stores in them, and for whatever reason we kept it. I don't know if we kept it overdue and had to pay for it, or if they were just like getting rid of some of their stuff, but I had it in this Giant Eagle case, and I remember it. We used to watch it all the time.
The VHS.
Yes, the VHS. And
I had the old Disney clamshell VHS though.
Oh yeah, I had a bunch of those, but I didn't have the case for this one. But I watched it a lot growing up. I remember not loving it as a kid, but my kids love it. I showed it to them really early, like 2, and so they really love it. We listen to the Three Caballeros song all the time in the car. We call ourselves the Three Caballeros, me and my 2 kids. One of the biggest things about this is the music. Like, the music is great in this movie. I highly recommend this. I think people sleep on the wartime era of Disney. A lot of people don't go for that stuff. So you got the wartime era. They didn't have like a full budget to put together like full films. So they were like piecing together some of their shorts and compiling them into films. So that's where you get Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros. That's where you get Melody Time and Make Mine Music, which were also released by the Disney Movie Club. And that's where you get some people's favorite
Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Ichabod and Mr. Toad, and Fun and Fancy Free. So there's a lot of like collection films during this era, and I think they're great. And I think they're a great way to introduce kids to cinema, because that's what I do with my kids. I started them with Disney's shorts. You got the Walt Disney Treasures shorts back there. So kid doesn't really have the attention span when they're 2 or like 1.5 to start watching full films. You show them like 11-minute shorts, get them into the medium, and then you show them like collections of shorts. So like the story changes every few minutes, and then they can refocus, and then you can get them into full features. So we watch Three Caballeros a lot. You've got Donald, and of course you got Panchito and Jose Carioca. Yes. Yeah, like I said, the songs are great, Three Caballeros especially, but Have You Been to Bahia, Donald is great. And then the best song,
because that's live action animation.
Yes, that's what I was going to mention. Like, there's really early, that's before Mary Poppins too. You've got live action
well before that, I guess.
Interaction with animation, and that's the big beach scene that makes me put this in the summer movie category. Is Donald's running around at all the women in bikinis, like,
yeah.
And it gets super crazy and like psychedelic and trippy. I don't know if you remember that part, but like it's super over the top and like impressionistic. Like it's pretty crazy, and has one of the best rides. When I went to Disney World Epcot This is one of the best rides at
Grand
Epcot.
Fiesta
It's
Tour.
so good, and I'm worried that because they've already like taken over the whole front of the ride with Coco stuff. I'm worried eventually that they're gonna completely replace this ride with Coco, which is very sad. So I need to go back to Epcot and do that again before it's done. But
one of my very best friends is like
obsessed with this movie.
That's fair. And
well,
the
they have
Grand
good
Fiesta
taste.
Tour and the whole thing.
They have great taste.
Yeah.
Go back and check it out. You've got Sterling Holloway doing narration, and you've got the short with the penguin, Pablo the penguin. And you've got the flying Gauchito, who's on the donkey that flies. There's a lot of great shorts. There's also a Christmas short in here, which it's kind of weird to be a summer movie and a Christmas movie. Yeah, it goes into like it goes into like the story of Bethlehem.
Oh, it does, and like the traditions. And
the traditions of Mexico, which is really cool. But yeah, highly recommend checking it out. Check out the soundtrack. Check out the film because it's really fun, especially if you have small children.
So it's a combined summer movie, Christmas movie.
Exactly. I mean, what could be better than that? But yeah, this is the 75th anniversary edition Blu-ray from Disney Movie Club. So check that out if you're part of the club. If you're not, go to eBay and pay way more for it because people are hiking up the prices.
Good pick.
Thank you.
Number 9. Have you seen this?
I have not. I really want to though.
This is the 1962 musical The Music Man.
The Music Man.
Which I didn't see when I was growing up for whatever reason, but
I didn't either.
Came to it a few years ago, and actually they just showed this at the TCM Film Festival last year, so I got to see it on the big screen.
Oh, that's nice.
A little bit. I saw the first 20 minutes and I had to run out, but
I recorded it on my TCM back when we had Hulu TV, but we've since got rid of it, so I never got a chance to watch it.
But so it's set in Iowa in
Midwest.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of Midwest summer films. So I also have this in my book. I have State Fair, I have Picnic. So some of those like Middle America kind of things, and it's set over the 4th of July essentially. Well, part of it is.
Nice.
And it's very. I mean, the music is incredible. It's about this kind of like huckster like guy who comes and riles up the townspeople into believing that,
a dance is not against the law.
No, it's more about, what does he do? He's like,
is Footloose a summer movie?
I don't know. I actually thought about that one. Doesn't over the school year?
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it actually.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Great soundtrack for that one too.
Okay.
Music Man. So it's about this guy who comes to town and he's like he convinces the town people to form a boys band for all the kids in the town to keep them from being delinquents essentially. He uses a pool hall that opens across the street as like the great like thing that's going to come in and corrupt the youth.
Well, it's a slippery slope once you start shooting pool.
Yeah. Well, that's what he would say. And music's incredible. It's also sort of about, because the other character is the librarian character who's kind of onto him essentially and knows that he's full of crap and is sort of, they're at odds until they're not, but it has this sort of, to me, very American thing about like, I don't know, people trying to take advantage of people and other people. It's like two sides of, I don't know, even politics today. Yeah. Essentially. So, but I mean, it's just totally enjoyable and, basically when the kids are out of school, this is something sort of they stay occupied essentially during the summer. So
awesome. Yeah, that's been on my list for a while. I love musicals. Me and Grace both watch musicals a lot, so this is great. I gotta put that on a short list.
Yeah. Music Man.
All right, my number 9 is dipping into the Criterion Collection. Now, this is an incredible movie, but I've only seen it once, and that's why it's lower on my list. I'm sure this one will go up as I see it. I'm sure you've probably already seen it under the test, but it is Y Tu Mamá También, another Mexico movie, 2 in a row.
Love it.
This is a fantastic movie. I didn't see this one in your book. Is it in your book?
No.
Oh, okay.
Part of that is because there are some international films on my book, so that's first of all. But part of it is I was leaning towards older stuff. Gotcha. And I have some newer films in there too, but I just for some reason didn't go for it. So Grace and I watched this recently, and then I immediately had to buy it because it has this. Because I love the film, it also has this beautiful digipack from Criterion. This is an incredible movie. This is described by it's directed by Alfonso Cuarón, which amazing, and he described it as a film about adolescence because two of the main characters are teenage boys. I think they just graduated. They're going to college around that age. So it's a coming of age story for them, but it's also, he says, a coming of age story
for Mexico as it's rebuilding after the war. I don't know which war. I'm not up on my Mexican history, but I listened to him talk about it a little bit, and he's fascinating to listen to. Yeah, it's like a road trip movie. Like I said, it's a coming-of-age story for the boys, but it's also Maribel Verdú, who is an incredible actress. She's in my favorite Guillermo del Toro movie, which is Pan's Labyrinth. Also watched her recently in Blancanieves, which is a modern silent film that it's an adaptation of Snow White. It came out in 2016, but it's set in the 20s. But yeah, this is the first movie I saw Maribel Verdú in it, and she is completely magnetic on the screen. She steals the whole show.
I mean, they're all great.
Yeah, they're all great, but her story I really connected with more so. She's going on the road trip for a different reason. It's not a coming-of-age story for her, but I won't spoil what it is, but she has a crisis that she's going through as well.
How long ago did you watch this?
I watched this maybe last year.
Okay, so just...
Very fresh.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're an adult.
Yes.
All right. So I watched this in the theater the first time.
Which was 2001. So you definitely connected with them.
Yeah, I did. And I wonder now if I would identify, I guess, more with her or her perspective on things. Well, and I probably would.
And I don't want to spoil what her thing is, but what her thing is another thing that I connect with very much because I have also gone through that journey myself.
Okay.
Which I don't know if I've told you that. Sorry if I dropped that on you right now. but yeah, this is an incredible
Talk about that later, off camera.
But it's just a movie about like life and experiencing people, and like it's another vacation movie, like just getting out and living and being around people and having experiences and just love and sex and everything. I don't know. It covers all the bases.
And beaches.
and beaches and pigs.
and pigs. And Mexican food. The beach scene. It's everything I want on a vacation.
Exactly. But I'll always remember the night I watched this because me and Grace, we put this in after we put the kids down at like 8. And then we watched, it's like a 2-hour movie. And then, so it was like 10 when we stopped it. And then we talked for
like it's long.
No, I'm just saying.
2-hour movie.
So it was already 10 when we ended it. And we usually are off to bed by that point because we're old. But like we talked for like 2 more hours after this movie, just like about everything. Like, and we had like some great conversations about life and about our upbringing and our past and our beliefs and religion and everything. Like this got us into some really incredible conversations, and I'm always going to remember that night as the first time I watched this. So like I said, I'm sure this one will go up my list as I see it. I've only seen it once now, so it is at number 9, but I like all the movies on my list, so it's not saying anything bad about this or the ones at the lower stage.
It's really interesting to see Cuarón here and then his later stuff, because his later stuff is so much more polished and just the production values are so much higher and all that stuff. And that's not a knock on this movie. Like this is a different era.
Fits for this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's
very naturalistic, and you're just outside all the time.
It is, and it's
hotel rooms.
It's very French New Wave-ish.
Oh well, that's a good sign because I might like French New Wave because I really like this movie. There's
some of the ways it does, there's cutaways to narration, and it reminds me of some of those 60s French films too, which is fun. I wanted to watch this again before we did this, or at least watch some of the beach scenes to like get me back in the spirit. But we should say this. This is the least prepared I've ever been for one of these top 10 videos. I did not have a lot of time to prepare, unfortunately. Are you just leaning on me?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping you're going to carry me.
Like there's somebody else here.
But I have seen most of these movies. Because
I'm leaning on you, so I'm hoping this doesn't go off the rails.
Well, we'll hold each other up. But yeah, Y Tu Mamá También is an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it and you're kind of new to my channel and new to the Criterion Collection, definitely that's one of the first 10 you should see, I think.
Oh, wow.
I think so. I mean, especially if you're not into older movies. It depends on who you are. Some people get into it.
Have you done that video?
No, that would be a good video. Getting people into the Criterion Collection. Because this is 2001. Some people, I love old movies. You love classic movies, but some people didn't grow up with them. They can't jump right into foreign. Well, I think this is a good introduction to foreign films.
Yes.
Grace actually said that when we watched this, because she had a tough time when we were first getting into the Criterion Collection with foreign films because she didn't grow up with them. This one though there's not a lot going on because it's low key and kind of just relaxed. They're just talking. You can focus. Sometimes it's hard when there's a lot going on. You're trying to see what's happening visually and you're reading. Yeah. This is a very just a road trip movie. They're just in cars talking. You can focus on the subtitles, and it's a good movie to start getting into subtitles with. So I highly recommend Y Tu Mamá También. It's great.
It's really entertaining. Seeing it in a full theater.
Yeah.
20 years ago. was great. I still remember people just laughing awkwardly through a lot of the moments.
I can't imagine seeing that in the theater. That would be a whole different experience than watching it with just my wife, because it is a very...
And I was with my
give a warning, I guess.
My best friend, and I think she doesn't like the movie. So okay. I wonder, I actually need her to watch it again.
She'll probably like it if she's older now. If she's older. If she didn't age in the last 20 years.
She's a little older now.
But yeah, that's my number 9.
All right. I don't actually... Well, okay, I'm cheating a little bit. I mean, I had 300 movies. You have to cheat a little bit to get it.
You have to whittle it down.
So everyone should watch Jaws, obviously. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that I'm...
4th of July movies in a row for you.
Yeah, this is 4th of July. And it says a lot about stuff in America in the 70s. I also want to recommend Jaws 3.
Oh, you're a sequel apologist.
Which is a terrible movie. But I think it's so fun. Like, it's one of those, it's so bad it's good movies. Mm-hmm. So the first sequel was Jaws 2. It has Roy Scheider's character, who is the police chief who comes back. And...
I've only seen the original. I haven't seen the sequels.
Okay, well, I'll just tell you. It's not good. I mean, it's fine. It's
Don't get your hopes up.
It's like if they made a sequel of Itomo Tambien and it was, like, it's just a normal continuation of the story.
Like a sequelitis where it just kind of does the same thing again.
It ups the ante on some things and just whatever. The 4th one called
Jaws.
We
have 2 sharks this time.
Jaws the Revenge.
Well, the Meg just came out.
Well, that's in my notes here.
As we're recording this.
I do think Jaws 3 is kind of like the Meg in the sense that it's
just leaning into the schlockiness of it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I've heard that the new one, the Meg 2 that just came out, is so the first one was stupid fun and this one's just stupid.
Yeah. And then I've heard there's no fun until like the last 30 minutes.
But I like these movies, Yeah.
You love Jaws 3. You're recommending Jaws 3?
So Jaws 3 is Jaws 4 is like I think it's Brody's wife, and that Michael Caine's in it for some reason, and she goes down, or I don't know exactly what happens. It's New England. They go down to like the Bahamas and the shark follows them there.
That's amazing.
So there's this weird
sentient shark.
Yeah. He's like this weird supernatural almost element to it. Okay, so Jaws 3 takes place in SeaWorld.
Oh.
And it's Roy Scheider's son, who's played by Dennis Quaid.
Oh, that's amazing.
And he's like
Dragonheart
22. Yeah. And it's like the shark gets into SeaWorld somehow. Like he punches his way through the grate it's connected to the ocean somehow, and he gets in. And anyway, there's all these.
Maybe he knew a whale or something that they let him.
Maybe so. Yeah, they all talk down there. I've seen Finding Nemo. And he gets in and wreaks havoc in SeaWorld, and it's bonkers.
That sounds pretty cool. It's like Jurassic World before Jurassic World.
So technically, I'm recommending Jaws,
the first one, because he has dignity.
If you get the chance. See Jaws 3.
I think you should just went straight up and just recommended Jaws 3.
It was. I almost did. I don't have the guts for that. I have a reputation.
It has a reputation of.
They released it as Jaws 3D because
I knew
it was part of that early '80s 3D craze.
The red and blue, the old ones.
Yeah, and really no good movies came out of that. But so it has some of the if you see today it's flat, but it has some of those weird 3D effects and things kind of float towards the camera and stuff like that. But
sweet.
It's fun. You should watch it. I have a copy of it somewhere and I couldn't find it. So.
Oh, okay. Couldn't find his copy.
Whatever. I'll have to get a new one.
Jaws 3. Check it out. My next one is My Neighbor Totoro. So this is actually a new film for me. I did not grow up with Studio Ghibli. I didn't even know it existed until very recently. This is something that I got into through my kids. That's one of the great things about having kids is you can experience, not only share the things that you love with your kids and you grew up with and re-experience those, but you can experience things for the first time through their eyes, which I totally did with Studio Ghibli. I started watching them when HBO, what was formerly known as HBO Max, now just Max, they dropped and they had all of the films on there.
Yeah.
So I got into those, started watching those with my son, and now since then we've showed my daughter these. So I've seen this quite a few times in just the last couple of years with my son. We were able actually to see it in the theaters with both my kids last year. It was like an anniversary and they were showing a lot of Studio Ghibli films. So we saw this in the theater. We saw Kiki's Delivery Service in the theater. But this one has a special place in my heart. This, I think, is my favorite that I've seen. I haven't seen a lot. I've only seen the ones that you can watch with your kids. I haven't watched Princess Mononoke yet, but I do want to.
It's a little more violent.
Yeah. So this is my favorite of the ones I've seen, and this movie just like made me a kid again. Like this is like the perfect encapsulation of like childhood and going on adventures and like being outside. And that's why it's on my summer list, because
I was gonna say, is it a summer movie?
I looked it up. The calendar in the hospital room does say July on it, but it's very green. Okay. There's a lot of greenery. There's, especially when you go into like Totoro's world, there's like jungle and like colorful stuff everywhere. So this movie definitely took me back to like being a kid and like using, I don't know, I love movies that teach kids to like use their imagination and like go on crazy adventures, and especially like pseudo fantasy things like this. Like this took me back to like growing up with like Chronicles of Narnia, like all that stuff, like making your own worlds as you're going out and having your own adventures. But yeah, I don't know, My Neighbor Totoro, and this is a beautiful special edition release that they did.
I was gonna say that's like a really nice box too.
Yeah, and it looks like a children's book, like it's like a foam or like a card, like a board children's book with the cat bust right there. And there's the movie, and then there's the soundtrack. Also really good, like 80s retro soundtrack for the film. Great voice acting from the American side. That's what's great about the Ghibli films. They get really good voice actors for the dubs.
Your kids have watched the dubs, I guess.
Yes, okay. They have watched the dubs. I have not watched the original. I've only watched, who is it, the Fannings? It's the Elle Fanning
I think so.
And Dakota Fanning do the voices. And they do a good job. I didn't find them annoying. It's also a movie about moving into a new house and like exploring, and it's all about exploration and stuff. So it reminds me.
I've seen about 20 minutes of that.
Oh my gosh, you haven't seen it? Oh, well, you don't even know what I'm talking about with the hospital scene then.
But it was lovely.
Yeah, it's gorgeous animation like Ghibli always does. And it's a Miyazaki film, which he's always great. So yeah, I highly recommend you check it out. I don't know if you'll have as great of experience while not watching it with kids, but watching it with my kids, I really, really loved it, and I recommend you guys check it out and show it to your kids as soon as you can, because it's one of the earlier ones. I recommend I think the first one you could show your kids is Ponyo. I think that's like the youngest demographic. Then I would go to A Neighbor Totoro. Then I would go to Kiki's Delivery Service. There's a little bit older. There's some more dialogue heavy scenes.
What about Spirited Away? What do you think for that one?
Spirited Away,
or is that darker?
Is darker. I started watching it with my kids, and I actually turned it off because it got a little too dark. Because they're only 2 and 4 right now.
And Howl's Moving Castle was kind of like that too, I think.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one yet. But the other one I have shown my kids is Secret Life of Arrietty, which is based on The Borrowers, which is a children's book by
Roald
Dahl. Yes. So yeah, those 4 I highly recommend for children. But this is my favorite of those. It's definitely a summer movie in my eyes.
Oh, I need to catch up on that for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, and of course another animated film. Those are my only 2 animated films on the list. I think we'll see.
Not having kids. I mean, I've watched kids before. Like we have, nieces and goddaughters.
I watch kids.
The least creepy way possible. I make sure they don't die. And
you mean like you babysit?
I do more than that. But yeah, so that's the word, babysitting. But I don't have kids around all the time, so I do watch animation that comes out, but I haven't made it back to.
And I also connect with the dad in that film because he's got 2 kids as well. So yeah, can't say enough good things about My Neighbor Totoro.
Nice. This is I don't know where I got this Blu-ray. It's really beaten up.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
This is Woodstock, the documentary.
Oh.
And this is also going to be a cheat because I'm going to just go ahead and tie this one with. Although, I guess if you had to pick one, this is the classic movie. But Summer of Soul, which came out a couple of years ago. Questlove.
Oh.
Have you heard of that?
I have heard of that, yeah.
So
I haven't seen it.
They happened at basically the same time. It was the summer of 1969. It was August of 1969.
Oh.
And one was happening in Bethel, New York, Woodstock, which is the big, Jimi Hendrix and Mamas of the Pop, everything up there. And then in Harlem, they were having the Harlem Cultural Festival, the thing in Harlem with those words in it,
the famous
that was happening like each Sunday for 6 weeks or something like that. And there was incredible, like they had Stevie Wonder and they had Nina Simone and Sly and the Family Stone and all these amazing acts. And this movie was famous and was released theatrically and is brilliant and has incredible musicians and stuff in it too. And that footage was never made into a movie for 45 years or something. Oh, and then Questlove came along and somebody found the footage in an archives and he kind of constructed it into a film. Did a bunch of talking head, interviews with people who were there, and they're both nice compliments of each other, both in terms of music and I guess, the sort of cultural conversation.
That's interesting. So
yeah.
So you've got, was that made during the time?
This was, yeah.
So you've got same footage kind of from the same period, but you got one that's a modern movie and one that's a period movie. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, basically. But all literally happening. Some of it happened on the same day. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was just like, I don't know, the music of the late 60s is just incredible too, for a lot of reasons. And you should absolutely watch this. My God. Santana, The Who, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Joan Baez, Jefferson Airplane, Jimi Hendrix, for God's sakes. This is fantastic. You haven't seen this?
I haven't seen it.
I love this just because it's a time capsule. I mean, the same is true of Summer of Soul. Like, it's a time capsule of this time and place that you've heard of for years and years. I will also say that if you haven't seen the Monterey Pop Festival, which I grabbed from your shelf, thank you.
Oh,
this is great too.
Snoop it around before.
This is the West Coast version.
Okay.
But it is also, this happened, I think it's 67 or 68, 67, June 67, at the height of the Summer of Love. So this was in Monterey, California, obviously, and there's actually a whole disc on here that's, so Jimi Hendrix and then Otis Redding have their own like mini concerts, and those are filmed individually. But Monterey Pop's great too. So
sweet,
great time for music.
You're going to be familiar with this one. This is my number 7.
Okay, I'm glad you included that.
Monsieur Lo's Holiday. Okay, this is also a new one to me. I just watched this. Won't talk too much about it because I did a full Criterion Corner discussion with Connor about this film. I recently just watched through all of Tati's films earlier this year, and I've learned that this is actually my favorite right now. But I think it's only because it's the only one I've seen twice. I feel like his films really benefit from multiple viewings.
Yeah, I think so.
The first time I watched this, I was not crazy about it. It's kind of hard to follow. It is a vacation movie. It's basically Monsieur Hulot, who is his character that he does throughout several of his films, goes on vacation with a big group of people. And there's a lot of people you got to keep up with throughout the film.
You think you need to keep up with them. Well, I think you think there's going to be a story.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
That you need to follow.
This is just a hangout. It's just a vacation movie. Like, you're just hanging out with them. But I think having a second viewing and being more familiar with the characters did help, because like, oh, that guy pops up again. They all have their little tiny stories that come in, their characterizations that keep coming back. You've got the sergeant guy who's always like, or the colonel guy who's always like screaming at people and trying to keep everything orderly, and you've got that one like annoying guy who's like trying to talk to the main female interest. He's like trying to talk about philosophy and politics, and she's like doesn't care at all. She just wants to hang out. Check out that video I did with Connor, because I gave all my thoughts on that. Actually, the second time I watched it with my son, and I think that helped me like it a lot more, because laughing along with him was I don't know, just made it more special.
So he enjoyed it?
He did enjoy it. He obviously doesn't get all the jokes that are about like commenting on society and stuff, but he did get the slaps. I started him on Charlie Chaplin.
The boat joke is great.
Yes. Well,
and the tennis scene.
Yeah. I started him on Charlie Chaplin young, so he does like the slapstick stuff, like that parlor scene we were talking about with the fox, and like he like whips out the candle and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here for kids as well. I think this is the one that you should introduce your kids to of all the Tati films. I think it's the breeziest. It's like a nice summer watch. I actually just watched it with both my kids 2 nights ago. I sent you a picture of them in front of the screen.
You did.
Pointing at it. But yeah, so they enjoyed it. If you don't know anything about Tati, he came from a circus background and mime, so he's very visual. He doesn't speak at all. He's kind of like Mr. Bean. He's like the 50s and 60s version of Mr. Bean, and the French version of Mr. Bean.
He's very much about I guess mime is the right word, but he uses props, and he's and, he always has his pipe and his hat and his coat. And
his movies are especially Playtime, but all of his movies are kind of like Where's Waldo's on film. Like, you have to kind of like, this is going to sound bad, but you kind of have to like hunt for the jokes. Like, it's a fun exercise.
It's not, you're not spoon fed.
Yeah, they don't like put, like, a lot of times a joke will be like in the background, or like the joke will happen off screen and you have to catch and you'll have to like think about it.
Which is why it's good to watch them twice.
Yes.
Once you know kind of what to expect, you can pay attention to the details, because that's where, you're right, that's where all the humor is.
And but it's great. And it's not like laugh out loud. Like, most of it's like chuckle to yourself kind of humor. But it's just, this movie especially is like just such a summer vibe. Like, it's just like, I feel like this is going to become a tradition where I try to watch this every year with the kids, because it's just so, it makes you feel so good.
Yeah.
It's about like, again, getting together with people on vacation that you don't know, and just having a communal experience together. And I don't know, it's really fun.
So this is definitely in my book, and
it is.
One of my main points about it is that it's kind of giving you a look at what vacation should be, as opposed to what a lot of people do on vacation.
Oh yeah,
which is
just, like stressing all the time about.
You're checking your phone and you're listening to the news and you're
and a lot of people,
arguing with your family. And
and what I end up doing on vacation, I know this happens to a lot of people, is like you feel like you got to get stuff done, like we got to accomplish things. We're here in another place, we have to see all these places. And they're not. They're just at the beach. They're just playing tennis. They're just eating lunches. Like it's great.
And he's doing vacation the right way. Like he's just kind of like existing. Break your desk. He's just sort of existing and having a good time, and he's not intending to be funny, but he is just based because he's kind of juxtaposed against all these people who are more
and there are people that are doing what we were just saying, where they're like they're angry at him for just like being goofy and like and kind of messing up their vacation, but then like
they're following the rules, I guess, too, and he's not really caring about them. So.
But then you've got the British lady at the end and the guy who like come up to him and like, thank you for making this vacation so much more fun because you were here and having fun. It's not really a movie you can spoil, so I don't feel like I'm saying too much. It's just kind of like a fun hangout movie. Watch it with people, watch it with your family, and just sit down and enjoy it. It's a great background movie too, like to just have on, because there's like a lot of little separate skits that you can just come into the room and watch and then.
So did you notice there's an updated segment in this film?
Yes, and I mentioned this in that other video. I kind of don't like. So there's 3 versions of the film.
I don't think I realized it the first time I saw it.
Okay, you didn't notice the cut to like better footage. I didn't either, but I'm not like shaming you. Like the swimsuits are different.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because
he shot it in the 70s after he watched Jaws. There's a joke that he inserts that I think goes a little too far. And I don't like that he because there's nothing else here referencing other stuff. I don't know why he felt the need to like straight up reference Jaws.
There's a story there somewhere, but
I think he just really liked Jaws and like wanted to include it. But there are things that I do like about the version. So the perfect version for me doesn't exist, because I don't like the original 1962 version. Doesn't have the amazing score. The groovy like 60s score that's in here.
Yeah, which I really love.
Yeah, so. It's great. And then it also cuts out some scenes, which is a bummer. Like there's a scene at the end on the train with Marie, I think is her name. That gets cut, and I hate that gets cut.
Is it on the disc?
It is.
Okay.
It has all 3 versions on here. So this is from the box set put out by Criterion for all of Tati's, the complete Tati, which I watched through earlier this year. So definitely get that and watch those behind the scenes because they're great.
So Playtime you've seen once?
I've seen it once. I've seen Mononcle once. I mean, I've seen all of them, but I have seen this one. I've seen this one 3 times. I just watched it with my kids. But anyway, the score is amazing. If you love like groovy like 60s, it's like a saxophone.
It's kind of in my head.
It's like, what's cool about the score is it pops up in universe. Like there'll be like someone whistling it, or there'll be like someone puts on a record and then it plays the score, or like someone will be like playing an instrument and they like play the score.
That's another element of his. I think the sound in his movies is really important.
Yeah.
So, and it's playful.
Yeah. He has a lot of iconic sound
jokes
effects
built into the soundtrack.
Yeah. You know. Again, I love all the movies on this list. I don't need to say that every time, but
you like all these?
Monster Ulla's Holiday is amazing, and I highly recommend it.
It's Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
I'm glad you had this on your list.
So another good example of a kind of like Rear Window in only this one way. It's that it was
totally
a very hot summer in New York, and it's the I guess the heat that sort of, it's about a block in Brooklyn that is sort of, there's a lot of racial tension between the residents and the cops and like the Korean deli owners on the corner and etc. And the heat only makes all these tensions sort of worse and boil over at the end.
Yeah.
So
the movie wouldn't happen if it wasn't for
exactly
insane heat, like 100 degrees.
I mean, I hope it wouldn't.
Well, definitely has happened for less.
It has, but it's packaged as like this super entertaining movie.
It is for the first like 4/5.
So the first time I saw this, I watched. It was late at night. I think I was in high school, and I watched up until like if you've seen the movie, there's a point at which it takes a turn.
Yeah.
And I watched up until that point. I didn't know what was going to happen afterwards, and I was like, oh, this is good. I like these characters. I heard some amazing things about it, and I was like, I don't know where this is going. I think it's fine, And then the next day, I watched the rest of it, and I was like, mind blown. This movie's incredible.
Yeah.
It only gets better, I think, and richer as I've gotten older and as you watch it multiple times and really get invested in the characters.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch it again. I've only seen it once, but another one like Monsieur Lo's Holiday, where you get to know all of the characters and just like as the movie progresses, you just feel like you know all of them because you're living with them on this one street the whole time.
You are, and the street's still there. So they renamed that block Do the Right Thing Way.
Oh, that makes sense.
And it's
got to get the tourism.
It's been gentrified, just like the movie sort of predicted that it would be.
Oh wow!
But it's there. And it's all one day on one block. It's just I love that kind of conceit in a film too. So
yeah.
Another one I wanted to mention that's also completely different from those other two is The 7-Year Itch.
Oh,
have you seen that? Or has Grace?
Grace has. She's a huge Monroe fan. I have not.
Yeah,
but she wants to show that.
It's probably one of Billy Wilder's weaker films, but that's okay.
Still, a weak Wilder is still
better than a lot of stuff. But it was based on a play, so it's kind of like he made it anyway. It's also set during the very hot summertime, and I think a lot of the jokes and stuff in the film wouldn't happen if it weren't, in the weather that it's in. And also, it's like a man has to stay home and work during the summer while his family goes to the lake, and she's the neighbor upstairs, and things happen. But it's another one of those heat of summer movies that isn't about vacation, sort of about the opposite of that. So, cool. Yeah.
My next one is my number 7. Is going from Jacques Tati to Jacques Demy. It is The Young Girls of Rochefort. Have you seen this?
No.
Oh, okay. This is of anyone on my list. If you want a feel-good movie, watch this movie.
I almost got it out
okay
recently because you said you liked it so much.
It is incredible. It's a gorgeous release, by the way. Check out the Demy box set. But I think this is, if you haven't seen any Demy, I think this is a great one to start with. Some people might be hesitant to watch a musical in another language, but I am here to tell you that it is great. Don't worry about that.
So I've seen Umbrellas of Cherbourg, which is the big one.
Big one, but a little more serious, a little more tragic, a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a feel-good movie. This was the crowd pleaser.
Oh, right.
This was like it's just incredible. If you know anything about Demy, we don't make films like this anymore. Like, I miss color. Like, the color grading in movies now is so bleh. It's so like, we used to make colorful films like this. You got Pedro Almodovar, which I didn't get on my list, but I wish I could have. Like, if you like the color in his films, you'll love the color in Demy films, especially this one. Everyone's wearing like bright, vibrant colors, and all the cinematography and scenery is amazing. You've got beautiful dance sequences and amazing choreography. The songs are super catchy. Even though I don't speak the language, like, the songs are really catchy still. Like, Demy writes the music too. And he just kills it. You've got, what is her name? You probably know her name.
Catherine
Deneuve, and her real-life sister, Francois Dorlier, plays her sister in this. So you've got these two sisters going around the city and trying to find love. And then you've got, it's basically this whole caravan of people comes into town and sets up this fair. So there's like this kind of festival thing going on. Okay. And there's just... it's hard. It's just a movie that you just have to experience. And also, I think this is a good one to start with. If you're a musical lover, this has got Bernardo from West Side Story as a main character in this. You've also got Gene Kelly as a main character in this. George Chakiris? I think so.
Wow.
And and then you've also George Chakiris right here, and then you've got Gene Kelly comes in as another main character. So if you already like American musicals,
always a good thing.
You will see some familiar faces pop up. And I just don't know how to explain it. This was one of the, like, in recent memory, like, kind of like walking out of Barbie. Like, you felt walking out of Barbie, just like, feel good, like, great movie. This is how I felt. Like, this even more so. Like, we watched this downstairs in the theater, and we were just like, because we had watched Umbrellas. I had watched Donkey Skin. I've seen a couple of his films, but I was not expecting to be as blown away by this one as it was. We were just like, I don't know, we were just like super into it and laughing, cool. And that's such a great time. Highly recommend it. I actually popped it in last night to just kind of get a feel of it again, so I could talk about it, and like watch more than I meant to, because we were just hooked on it again. Like, we couldn't turn it off.
So how is this a summer movie?
It takes place in summer. It's all outside. It's all like on fair. This. It's kind of like Do the Right Thing. It's on this like strip. It's like this strip. Like, you've got these sailors that came in. There's like everyone's coming in for this big like summer fair thing. So it's all in this one like block in France. I'm not exactly sure where it takes place, but they're all hanging out right there. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know where that is. I have no frame of reference for where that is in France. You do, Mister. I went on my European excursion, so you might actually get a lot out of it. But yeah, it's all you're hanging out with the same people. It's kind of like soulmates, kind of like you're waiting the whole movie for these people to meet. Like they're chance encounters, and they keep missing each other.
Are you following each one?
Yeah, you're following them separately, and then it kind of comes together. And I don't know. It's such a feel-good movie. It's hard to talk about, especially because I've only seen it once. But yeah, it's one of our favorites that me and Grace have watched in the entire Criterion collection. I think that would be way up there on our list. Yeah,
we should do you should do the video that's like best intro to Criterion. Alternately, I think you need to do a video that's like best feel-good Criterion movies, or something about like happy endings or something. That's
someone asked.
There's a lot of dark stuff.
And Grace has been helping me like branch out into some other ones. Someone asked recently in a video, because we asked for top 10 recommendations, and they said top 10 like breezy, non-depressing films.
Non-depressing.
But they said under 90 minutes, and this one is 126 minutes because it's a musical. But I mean, so it's about 2 hours, but it goes quick because it's so much fun. So musicals always run longer. You got to stop for the songs. So, but I would definitely put that one in a nice breezy watch. Loved it. Can't recommend it enough.
I need to catch up with that.
Yeah, the movie's great.
Yeah, he is. Okay, top 5.
Top 5. Here we go.
And I still have a couple of these. I feel like the ones at the top of my list I don't actually own, which is ironic. But okay, so number 5 is just a few years old, and it's
oh yeah.
And a lot of people really love this movie. I saw this in the theater a few times.
That's the newest one in your book, right?
It is. Call Me by Your Name. And it is based on a book that was out in 2007 or something like that, which is when I started. So my partner and I started dating in 2007. And he loaned me this book, and it had just come out.
Oh, so before the hype, you had already read the book.
Way before the hype. I reread it before the movie came out, just because it was 10 years later. But so it means a lot to us, I think, anyway, just because it was sort of one of the first things we shared. Yeah, arts wise, but
oh, that's cool. I definitely.
It's also just. Have you seen it? No,
I have not.
Oh,
that was like 20. Was it 2017?
Yeah,
it was like right before I started like keeping up with the Oscar stuff, and actually that was the Movie Pass year. So I did see a lot of stuff that year. I don't know why I missed
the
that
Movie Pass year.
Yeah, the Movie Pass was the best. I saw so many movies
until they stopped,
and then I put them out of business. Yeah.
Well, this is where the world gave us Timothée Chalamet.
Oh,
for one, and then
YouTube rap videos.
Also, Armie Hammer
originally came from.
Michael Stuhlbarg, who's the dad in this, who's great in everything. Yeah. So Michael Stuhlbarg is a professor of art history, and he lives in Italy, I guess year round, but during the summer. And they have a villa. It's like he and his wife and their son Timothée Chalamet, and they have a villa that they bring a visiting grad student to each summer. And so this year it's the Armie Hammer character. And one thing leads to another, and there's a lot of flirting, and the Chalamet character is like kind of coming to terms with sexuality. He doesn't really put a label on it or anything, but that's what's happening. Yeah. And they have a thing, and but it's within the confines of the summer, right? So it's one of those like
definitely a summer movie.
It is, absolutely. And it's full of like people biking down little country roads in Italy and swimming in ponds and swimming pools and
kind of similar to
volleyball games and
each of them on top. Yeah, and we didn't talk about that aspect of it, but it's very much an older woman with the younger college guys. Like it has kind of a adventure in the summer, and then
and kind of a relaxed vibe to it.
Okay,
too. Music's great, and I don't know. It's a lot. There's not a huge screenplay to it. A lot of it is, just the way the characters behave around each other, and the way the camera captures the way they're looking at each other and all that stuff. So
cool. I'll have to check that one out.
It's
you might have to leave that one here.
It's so good.
I don't want to take your copy out, but maybe
one of the last best shots maybe of all time in my opinion.
Wow. High praise.
Anyway, this one meant a lot to me going in and lived up to the hype, and you have something on your head.
I had a piece of fuzz on me.
It's great. Everyone should see it.
Call Me by Your Name, number 5. All right.
And it's definitely a summer movie. It's the last one in the book because I felt like I couldn't not include that.
Yeah. So. My number 5, I don't actually have a copy of because my wife lent it out to a friend because it's a great movie and everyone should see it. It's Before Sunrise. Oh, you got it on your list as well.
I do, but I haven't opened it, so I won't do it yet.
Okay, so you could.
So let's talk about this.
All right, so this is Before Sunrise. This is the Before trilogy from Criterion. You get one for each one. Like I said, someone borrowed our Before Sunrise and haven't given it back yet, so hopefully.
I mean, how can you blame them?
Yeah, they did watch it and they did enjoy it. Before Sunrise is one that I watched with Grace last year or the year before, like when we were first starting getting into. This is another quintessential, I think. You would agree with me on this. Like when you're first getting into the Criterion Collection, you got to watch Before Sunrise. Like that's one of the first ones, right?
Okay.
That's what I
know what you're saying.
That's what like a lot of people. It's a high profile one. Like a lot of people talk about this one.
It is. It's a high profile, more modern pick from a very popular director.
Yes.
So when I think of the Criterion Collection, I think of like 8.5 and 400 Blows and M.
Well, if you just want to jump, like if you're the kind of person that just wants to jump head first in, then yeah, you show them that kind of stuff. I'm saying if you're trying to like convince some, like if you're trying to coax someone into it, I think you can start with this one. If I mean, it depends on the person. Some people might not like this.
Interesting.
Some people might not like laid back because this is a very, if you don't know about it, I think everyone does. But if you don't, it's a super laid back, like zero plot movie. Like it's just incredible dialogue and incredible performances that make it feel realistic. And it's a romance. These two people that meet. It's not in France. Where is it?
Austria.
We're
in Vienna.
Vienna. Vienna. I'm just talking about the first one. That is my favorite. I did enjoy I watched all three. First one is by far my favorite.
Did you watch them in order?
Yes.
Okay.
Should I not have?
I say that because I did not.
Oh, no.
I saw the second one in the theater. Having not watched the first one. It still worked.
Okay.
Because I was aware of the first one. I just didn't watch it for even years after that. But
the first one is the one I connected with the most. And I like the second one too. Third one was rough for me, not because of the subject matter, like I know a lot of people have. I have just been I've been through something very, very, very similar to the third one, and it didn't go like it wasn't. I felt like they were really unlikable in the third one. Like I don't think they handled it well, especially if they're supposed to have been married for so long.
Yeah,
they were just acting out of character to me a little bit and being unreasonable. But
it's the end of the arc of a relationship, right? I think I can say that.
Yeah. So we're just talking about the first one, which is them meeting for the first time and that crazy emotions that you go through. It's basically over one night.
What an incredible concept, though! And apparently, it really happened to Linklater. Like,
oh, really?
In a sense,
he met in another.
He met some girl, and they just walked around the city all night.
Yeah, that's basically you're just walking around. They're just like having fun doing things. But I connected to it. Obviously, I connected to it remembering like the first the dating phase of my wife, all that stuff. But specifically, I related to, is his name Jesse? His name's Jesse, right?
Yeah.
In the film. Jesse, the character, because like I am Jesse. Like the like, and not in a good way. This isn't a compliment. Like the guy who like is constantly like cutting the magic out of everything. Like that scene where they get the guy like writes a poem about them, like specific to them, and he's like, he probably had that poem written. He just like added our names and a couple things like, and I don't like that about myself. I think it was growing up like growing up super like poor and not having a lot of things. I think my parents, the way they would cope with that, I think it's a coping mechanism where you constantly downplay everything because you can't have it. You're like, well, it's not worth it anyway. Like, who cares? Like, you have to cut things down.
Like devaluing a little.
Yeah. I think I do that a lot. And Grace is very much Celine. She's the one that like is in the moment and like living in the moment and experiencing things. And I'll find myself like making these sarcastic comments and like that scene with the poem, like where she just like takes all the fun out of that whole experience that they're having.
The palm reader.
Yeah, and he's just like, that's probably
that's fake.
But yeah, I'm a skeptic, man. I'm a very much like I'm not a pessimist. I wouldn't say that. I'm very optimistic, but I am like a realist and like unnecessarily so a lot of the time. And I've been trying to work on that with Grace. This is a movie about being in a relationship and like learning to habitat with someone else and like not, obviously you want to be yourself.
Well, I guess what you're saying is like there are sacrifices you have to make, or like you have to come to terms with each other in order to make.
Yeah, and I don't like the idea that like I'm who I am and you can't change me. Like we're kind of getting to that point where we're always like be yourself, but that's also like you also need to like temper the bad parts of yourself or the lesser qualities of yourself. Be self-aware and like know what your flaws are and work on
you
them.
Should support each other to be the best versions of yourself.
Yes, exactly.
I guess, right?
And I think the way that this handles that in just one night is really, really cool because they don't know each other that well, but you're just watching them get to know each other. My
God, that scene where they're on the restaurant that's on the boat or whatever, and they decide, okay, here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. And that's another great. They're all about being super spontaneous.
They're so smart and so stupid at the same time. You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way this is gonna work. But that's absolutely that's mature.
Yeah, you were talking about vacations earlier. Watch this before you go on a vacation with your partner because it'll help you be more spontaneous and like, well, if you need to be like that. If you're a reckless person,
I'm not like,
like I need something to like inspire me to be more spontaneous and like take risks and stuff. So if you're like me, like this was a great experience, and another night where we had just endless conversations afterwards about it.
It is made better because there is a second movie.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, and vice versa. Like,
yeah, we didn't even talk about that, but like, this was a cool thing. For like every 10 years, they would come back and make another one with the same actors, and
they wrote it themselves too. At least the second and third ones. Yeah,
okay.
Or they were part of the writing process.
Yeah, and I didn't even say it's Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. Yeah. That's how you say it. So yeah, I don't know. Most of you probably have already heard of this and probably seen it, but yeah, that one. I know it's cliche to have that on your list, but it just spoke to me in a real important way, and I don't know. I couldn't get it out of my head when I was, and that's also in your book. I remember seeing that one.
It is. I was gonna tie. That's on my list here. I was gonna do a tie, so I'll just knock that one off and talk about it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we just talked about it. Great movie, and had a lasting impact on me. I actually I tried to write a Letterboxd review after I watched that, and I was like thinking about it so hard and so long and writing too long, and I eventually just scrapped it and didn't even post anything and just did a rating because I was like, nobody cares. I'm getting way too personal with this review.
Oh, that's funny. I was just thinking like it would be hard to write a review of that. And it's like I have a chapter in my book, so I guess it's not that hard.
Yeah, you did it.
If I did it,
that's why you have a book and I don't. That's why I just talk at the camera.
You know, the hard part about writing a book is just like sitting down and doing it.
Yeah. Making yourself do it.
Yeah.
That's why I do videos with other people.
Doing a YouTube channel, we have to keep it up, you know?
Yeah, well, it's much easier to talk to somebody than to talk to myself. You can't do that in a book.
But anyway, okay. 4?
Number 4.
So I don't have this. You actually have this, I think.
Oh.
I think I paired this with Before Sunrise in my book as the You Should Also See movie, but I'll just talk about this one here.
Perfect timing, because I didn't mention this, but like, very similar. I don't know if Linklater is similar to Eric Rohmer, but that film especially is like is like an English speaking Eric Rohmer film because that's how he makes.
Yeah,
films.
Kind of. Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. That's why I wrote about it.
So I spoiled your pick.
So this is a movie from the 80s called The Green Ray, or Le Rayon Vert, and it is a little slower and a little. For most of it, a little more depressing, I think, than
that's Eric Rohmer, buddy.
Before Sunrise.
He just writes. They're basically plays. They're like dialogue-driven plays that he writes. I don't know. I haven't seen this film specifically, but I've seen I've seen 9 of his films now, and they're little.
And nothing happens.
Yeah, nothing happens. They're just like Before Sunrise
for the good long time,
but less emotion than Before Sunrise. I would say less romantic. Like there's no music in his films.
No,
which I'm surprised I like his stuff so much, honestly, because I'm a big music fan.
I want to hear more about. It sounds like we might in a second.
We might. See?
We'll talk about that later. So this is about a woman who is supposed to go on vacation with her friend, and she gets stood up essentially.
Oh.
So she has to go. She decides to go somewhere with another friend, and then whatever, and then she tries to get someone to go with her, and nothing happens. So she goes by herself.
Mm-hmm. This is so funny because. This is totally an Eric Rohmer movie. And even though I haven't seen it, I'm like, yep, check.
And I just don't want to say anything more about the movie.
I haven't seen this one yet.
Because to give that away would give the whole film away. So, and the ending is perfect.
I'm happy that made. And this was actually one of the double feature. You said you put it with the double feature. On Before Sunrise.
Let's see what I said about it.
Yeah, I can't wait to. Don't spoil anything. I want to watch this one. I'm going to watch this one this summer. I've been doing kind of an Eric Rohmer summer. Because I just bought this box set that this came from. This came from the Arrow Academy box set that he just grabbed off my shelf, which I've done a video of. It'll be up soon.
Eric Rohmer's films are largely driven by the conversations of their characters. And that's true of this summertime story about a newly single woman, Delphine, Marie Riviere, who is forced to vacation alone and her traveling companion backs out at the last minute. Self-conscious and introverted, sounds like one of his characters, she is unable to enjoy herself on the beaches of Biarritz. But like Jessie in Before Sunrise, she forms an unexpected connection with a stranger just as she is about to leave.
That is like textbook Romare. That's amazing.
Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful movie, and it ends so well. Okay. It's like you're kind of just like bummed for an hour and a half, and then suddenly like
you have an epiphany.
The world changes.
that was my experience with his stuff. But yeah, we'll move on for now. But
all right,
we might
put that on your to see list.
I'm watching this summer for sure. That's definitely happening. My next one is from a little known director named Wes Anderson. I heard of him. Probably in the dumb video memes that are. Have you seen those? There's a meme, right? There's like a trend right now where you're like filming, going to a baseball game, Wes Anderson style, and it's like you don't know. You've never seen a Wes Anderson movie. You don't even know. Like Wes Anderson doesn't just stand. He doesn't just have characters standing and staring at the camera.
That doesn't faze me anymore.
It's like everyone. All right, so I'm gonna jump into Wes Anderson, and not only is this a summer film, quintessential summer film. This is my favorite Wes Anderson film. He's done a few summer films. He just did Asteroid City, which just takes place in the summer.
Okay.
This is Moonrise Kingdom. I don't love this cover. Because
it doesn't say anything. It doesn't actually titles on there.
But compared to all those other like colorful like custom artwork ones, I don't know why they went with just a photo for this one. But the inside's pretty. If you haven't seen this is a summer camp film, so it has to be a summer film. It's about little Sam and Sally. Her name's Sally, right?
Yes.
Susie. Sam and Susie. It's kind of a coming of age story for the weird kids, like the outsiders. I know it's so good. Like you've got. It's hard to even talk. Hopefully,
it has a map. It came with a map.
Yes, this is a beautiful release. You got to get this, and it's got like the magazine,
Scout magazine.
Yeah, Scout magazine. This is a beautiful release.
Were you a scout?
No, I did not experience this. Like I said when I talked about Totoro, like I was outside all the time when I was a kid, but I didn't like do it organized, like safely.
Yeah.
But there's no safety in this film. Either. Good grief, this film gets pretty brutal at some points. But yeah, you've got all the Wes Anderson staples. You've got Bill Murray. You've got Edward Norton. You've got Die Hard. Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis. You've also got Frances McDormand, and you've got Jason Schwartzman. You
got Bob Balaban.
You got everybody. Everybody is in this one. This is my first Wes Anderson film that I ever saw, and I think it's a good one to start with. Maybe you've mentioned before that a good one to start with is the Royal Tenenbaums because it's like the least.
Well, that's the one I started with.
Strange, and a lot of people like that one. I love the quirkiness though. That's what I'm there for. So like I want the craziness. I want the.
I didn't like this when I first saw it.
Oh. Hot take. This got me into Wes Anderson. I was like, that was strange and weird. Actually, I don't even know if I don't think I immediately looked into the director after it. I just watched it in 2012, and then
you were not really aware of him.
No, I wasn't at all. This was before I was really big into film at all, and I just really liked the film. And then later, as I started getting into film more and the Criterion Collection, which has all of his films, I was like, oh, I want to check out more of his stuff. And then we went through and watched like all of his films, and I've got them all back there. I need the French Dispatch to come out on Criterion. Like, just skip Isle of Dogs and give me French Dispatch on disc.
You should rewatch Isle of Dogs.
I know. I need to. I've only seen that one once. It's fine. I just love French Dispatch. This is a movie about a boy who runs away from home and meets a kindred spirit, another outsider, and they just kind of have a romance. It's a harmless little like middle school romance. No stakes really. I mean, there's stakes for they're running away from home.
They almost died.
Yeah, but it's not like the end of the world. They're just kind of having fun and like learning about themselves. A lot of coming of age stories on my list I'm seeing. They're basically all have been.
Yes. A lot of kids and foreign stuff.
Yeah, that's my, I don't know, man.
This is in my book. This was the hardest chapter to write. I think.
Was the more newer things? More modern?
Yeah, I guess so, because Call Me by Your Name was hard too. But this one, I felt like trying to summarize Wes Anderson too. Because I don't think it's the most prototypical Wes Anderson film either. Like French Dispatch or Asteroid City or I don't know, even something like Life Aquatic or Darjeeling or something like that.
Grand Budapest is like his.
Grand Budapest,
his, like, big.
Like aggressively Wes Anderson.
Yeah. This
one, I think, because it's set outdoors so much, feels a little less.
It's a good midpoint. Yeah, because he can't. Because that's the thing about him. He likes to control the cinematography so much and use the symmetrical, but you can't do outside.
I mean, there's like the play that happens at the end and the church steeple thing and the whole like
very over the top.
And a lot of
he doesn't use CG.
Now I'm just mentioning things.
Stop motion. So yeah.
But I was gonna say like those are like the artificial elements. They don't overpower the film like a Grand Budapest or something does. Yeah. I think
that's why I think it's a good place to start. I think it's a good midpoint between his more normal stuff and his more crazy over the top stuff.
It's definitely as quirky in terms of the characters and stuff. Well, I think the kids are really endearing though.
Oh, I love the kids. So, yeah. This is one that you could show older kids, not my kids, but like 12, 11, 10, 11, 12. You could definitely show this to kids. Very great movie. And one of my favorite things about this movie is the score. You've got, who does all of his films?
Alexander
Desplat does an incredible score that sounds really pretentious because he calls it the heroic weather conditions of the universe, part 1 through 7.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I've listened to the score more than any other score because I used to listen to it while I was working at school because it's a perfect just background score. Like it's got an even tempo. It's got like the Boy Scout kind of marching tunes. Also the soundtrack like outside of the score is incredible too.
It's kind of a lot of fun. I mean, all of his movies have terrific soundtracks.
French Dispatch soundtrack is amazing.
Rushmore, everything.
He puts together the most eclectic. Like I don't know if he just does a lot of research or if he just listens to all this kind of music all the time, but they're
That's
always
a good
great.
question. I wonder about that actually.
I would love to know,
or if it's some music supervisor that he works with. Really...
I get the sense he's like Edgar Wright and just like listens to music all the time and like puts together his soundtracks.
And some people like do the soundtracks and then kind of build the movie around the tempo and that kind of stuff in the music. So
maybe so. And I know he probably works with Desplat a lot on the score, but I love the score for this one.
And I wonder because he has the whole like Benjamin Britten stuff in here. Like if he's I don't know. There's a lot of classical music in his.
Yeah, it starts with
and there's the Noah's Flood thing. It's the
it starts with the Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is awesome. So that's like the opening shot.
It's just such a Wes Anderson piece of classical music.
Yeah, and it starts with the big one shot of like the beautiful house set that they built where it goes through the whole house. And that's very symmetrical. So that you get a little bit of a style at the beginning. But it's great.
Such a good movie.
You've also got
Harvey Keitel.
Harvey Keitel is in this. I forgot about that. It's great. Everybody's in this. We've talked about it enough. Check out Moonrise Kingdom if you haven't. It's amazing.
All right.
Top 3?
Top 3. I feel good about these top 3.
Okay.
This came out of Criterion last July. Man, I don't know how many people have seen it. I think people picked it up because it was probably during the July sale, and a bunch of people probably bought it, but I don't know if they watched it. I've loved this for years. I have the old DVD of this. This is spine number 22 of Criterion. It's the David Lean film Summertime, which has the most summary title.
Yeah. So you win that.
So I win the most summary title award. It's pretty simple too. It's again another 50s kind of a travelogue movie. It's set in Venice and it was shot there. And this was the time the studios post-war were starting to go out, and I guess one of the things they were doing to compete with television was to actually shoot on location places.
Yeah.
So this does a really good job of that.
Yeah, that's the main. Yeah, travelogue is the right word because it's like basically an ad.
You've seen this.
I have. Yeah, it's like an ad for.
It is, and it's funny because David Lean, is a very creative filmmaker and very visual oriented, and he had an argument with the producer Alexander Korda about this kind of thing, and he's like, I don't want to just shoot a shot of the St. Mark's and Doge's Palace and the Bridge of Sighs and all these things. And he's like, no, you have to do that.
You gotta include it.
You have to include that stuff. It's like, it's not cliche for nothing, like, so he does, and it looks great. And I think he picks really innovative ways to show those kind of things too. So basically about Katharine Hepburn's character, who's 40s, 50s,
an older
single, right? And she's never been able to go to Europe before. She's like a school secretary in Ohio, and she gets the chance to travel to Europe. It's just something she's always wanted to do, so she does. And so she's in Venice, and you see her arriving at the train station, and then she meets some other couples who wind up at her hotel. So there's a few characters that pop up in the film, but it's basically just following her the whole time. Mm-hmm. So working at TCM, there was someone I was talking to this movie about, and they're like, "That is the most depressing movie."
Yeah,
they hate the movie because it's like about a woman who's basically unhappy, and she gets involved with a very handsome Italian man, but it's not all he's not all he seems to be, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, but don't expect he's not like a spy or something. Like it's
nothing that exciting.
No, it's a very somber, quiet,
but it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah. I didn't. I'll be honest. I've seen this once. I did not love it.
Oh, okay.
Was not a big fan, but maybe on the second viewing I like. But I did like seeing Katharine Hepburn play that kind of role because we love Katharine Hepburn here in this household, and I haven't seen something of her of that old. Although now I have seen.
I mean, she acted
Lion in Winter.
40 years.
Lion in Winter.
Lion in Winter. I had to watch that. We watch that on Christmas Day every year.
Oh, that's a top 10 Christmas movie for sure. It's so good.
She can do no wrong, basically.
She can do it.
She's
I had no problems with her in this movie. It was, and it might have just been the mood I was in. There's sometimes that happens. So
I get it. I totally get it. I just think I was into the travelogue part of the film too, and the fact that she was like getting, because when I first saw this, I had never been to Italy, and it was like, oh, wide-eyed, like, I don't know. That's what carried me through the film in the first place. And then I've watched it multiple times now, a lot of times for the book, and then I don't know. It's one of my
weirdly, we watched that like because they announced it like in October or something. We watched it right after we watched The Wolfman for the first time, like the original Wolfman, and they both start with like going to an antique shop and like buying like it was very strange how that worked out.
That's very funny,
but very different films. My next one is a film that I rewatched a couple days ago because I was like, I saw that when I was younger, like college age. I don't know if it's going to hold up for me. Like I was really into that kind of film at that time. Let me rewatch it before I make my list to know that I still love it. And did I love it? Oh, me and Grace watched this again. This is such a good movie. Have you seen Little Miss Sunshine?
In the theater.
Oh my goodness. This is an incredible movie. Let's talk about feel-good movies. This is like one of those cliche movies where you're like, you're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to experience all the range of emotions because it is also very sad and very and very dark. It goes to dark places. You've got Steve Carell in probably the darkest role he's ever done. Alan Arkin. This is the first time I watched it after Alan Arkin passed, which made it even
he's great on this.
Hit even harder. He's amazing. It's a family film. It's another road trip movie. So I've got.
It's about a family. Is it for families?
No. I mean about families, especially dysfunctional families. It's all about a dysfunctional family going on a road trip to get Abigail Breslin to this horrible, disgusting Little Miss Sunshine pageant that makes you feel so gross.
You're not going to put your daughter in this?
Absolutely not. But this is also a movie about being a weirdo, being yourself, like letting your freak flag fly and just very much.
I need to rewatch that.
Lines. You should,
because
it's great.
When I saw it, I mean, it was hype. It was a very small movie that built by word of mouth.
It got built up too much for you. Expectations were too high.
Maybe, but it was one of those very aggressively indie films.
Yes, which college DJ was like all in. I was watching I was watching all the ones around this time, we just talked about Sideways with Paul Giamatti, and did you ever see Safety Not Guaranteed that came around this time?
I know what you're talking about.
Aubrey Plaza and Nick Miller from New Girl. I can't remember what his real name is, but I was watching, and a lot of them are yellow for some reason. Like Paperman is another indie film that I watched at the time with Emma Stone. Emma Stone is in that, and Ryan. That's my favorite Ryan Reynolds. My favorite Ryan Reynolds performance.
Wait, what movie?
Paperman. Have you ever seen Paperman? It's also got Jeff Daniels in it. Jeff Daniels' superhero imaginary friend is Ryan Reynolds. Super weird indie movie with Emma Stone in it. But anyway, we're talking about Little Miss Sunshine. DJ was primed and ready in his college years to watch this aggressively, like you called it, indie movie where all those movies are directed by two people for some reason.
So quirky, and the characters are all like,
Well, and it's fun. I think this is the best.
I did like it. I was just like, oh, it's one of those.
Because you go back and like Juno and like Napoleon Dynamite, and I don't think this goes as far as those where it's like trying to invent new like vocabulary and stuff. Like those are
but it's in that same it's in the family wheelhouse.
I would say, but I think I don't know, something about especially Paul Dano's character, like that just killed me, man.
I mean, Toni Collette. Anything with her in it.
Anything with her as a mom. It just is an amazing.
This is what she always winds up playing. But
but you got an amazing cast. We didn't even mention. So we mentioned everybody except for Greg Kinnear, who just plays a total jerk in this movie.
He's always a jerk.
Just the worst dad ever. But even he comes around at the end. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little cheesy maybe for some people. It's a little heightened.
You know what?
It gets a little sappy, but I think it earns it. I think it totally earns it.
I feel like there are Wes Anderson elements of this film.
Maybe so.
It's not a Wes Anderson screenplay, but I think the some of the compositions and I don't know, some of the characteristics of the people in it are a little bit like Royal Tenenbaums is a bunch of weirdos too. You know?
The dialogue's handled differently. They're not as dry. They're much more loud and obnoxious people. But just so funny. Like we were watching yesterday. We were dying, or 2 days ago. We were dying, and we're dying and crying. Yeah. It's a great movie. Check out Little Miss Sunshine if you haven't. I'm not aware of the directors. I don't know what else they have done, but
they've done. Oh yeah, they've done a lot of stuff.
Okay, I need to check out some of their other stuff because I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was like, I think this is the first place I saw Steve Carell. I saw this before I watched The Office, I think.
Oh yeah, that was about the same year when that started. So.
And I didn't get to The Office till way later when my family finally got Netflix. but yeah, it lived up to my memory of it, so can't recommend that one enough. It's great.
Is it a summer movie?
It is a summer movie. This is it's not aggressively summer.
My parameters don't apply either. I have my own rules for.
It takes place in the summer. They're going on a road trip. It's hot. Like, it feels hot. Like, that's part of it. That's part. They're all like, at each other's throats. They don't go to like a beach or anything.
Yeah,
it's not like.
Well, so my thing about read the book, and
they're in Arizona and California, so it's
always hot. Yeah, it looks hot.
Yeah, you can see the hot on the screen.
Right. So you had 300 movies. I had to cut it down somehow, and I was like, well, let's make it. Let's try to pick things that have like universal summer experiences in them. Too. Yeah, like they ideally need to take place in the summer, but there's some movies that take place in the summer that are great, but don't really.
Yeah, that's probably one of these ones. But I mean, it brought me back to my childhood going on road trips in the summer because they're not in school.
I think the road trip thing is right.
Yeah. Because they're both out of school, and that's why they're able to do this trip. And,
yeah,
I don't know. I like it.
I don't have my next one.
Oh, number 2.
I don't know if you have it or not. You might. I don't know what color it is.
He doesn't know what color it is. Well, say it and I'll tell you.
It's National Lampoon's Vacation.
I do not have that
one. Oh, have you seen it?
I have not seen it. I did not grow up with the raunchy comedy.
You didn't grow up with a television and cable?
No, I actually didn't. I didn't have cable.
USA.
We were movie people. We weren't television people. So.
So, Vacation, and I would include European Vacation in this too, because it's, as always, in a sequel, they go to Europe. And it's
and then they do the Christmas
hijinks ensue. And the Christmas one, of course, is a Christmas classic. Have you seen the Christmas one?
I have seen the Christmas one because I watch every Christmas movie.
So, Vacation. So it's a road trip movie, basically, about this family vacation. Chevy Chase is Clark Griswold, and he basically works really hard all year and is the world's worst father, and wants to give his kids and his family a vacation that they won't remember. So he takes a road trip, which is what we did when in the 80s, when we took a big road trip to California from the middle of the country. And it's kind of, I don't know if that movie speaks to me a little bit because we also had that same experience or not.
Yeah.
But they take off essentially it was going to be Disneyland, and then Disney wouldn't give them the rights to use Disneyland. So they wound up going to a place called Wally World, which is actually, I think, Six Flags Magic Mountain that's out in California. And
that makes it better.
They're driving from Chicago, so there's several days of they drive through St. Louis, and they drive through Monument Valley for some reason, and they all that, and they make their way over there. They visit some family along the way, as you do, and all sorts of things that happen, and everything that goes wrong. Could go wrong, does go wrong along the way. But they stick it out, and they're a family. And so, I don't know how... That's the most mundane description of the movie.
Well, it's a classic. Everyone's heard of it. Everyone knows. So 2 road trip movies in a row.
Yeah, and I think it's the iconic one. You think about driving cross country or... Yeah,
and that's a different kind of road trip. So this road trip, they're just trying to get somewhere and things keep going wrong. That one is they're going on a road trip to but they're stopping and experiencing things.
Here and there. Yeah.
Which is what that's what you do when you go on a road trip. You stop and see the big ball of yarn or
sure,
whatever.
Yeah.
See sights along the way.
Exactly.
All right, my number 2, we're going back to the Eric Rohmer summer. And with specifically A Tale of Summer or A Summer's Tale. I've seen it both ways. Sometimes it's translated A Summer's Tale, sometimes it's translated. So this, if you haven't seen my video on this, go check that out because this is the most beautiful box set I own. This is the Tale of 4 Seasons.
You spent a lot of money on it, so please tell them that you like it.
As long as they don't come out with it in the Criterion Collection, I'll be okay. But yeah, this is he did a whole series of these. That's what I like about Rohmer. That's a really cool thing that he did. He did films in series. He does the 6 Moral Tales, where he did 6 films in a row, and then he did the 4 Tales of the 4 Seasons, where he did spring, summer, autumn, and fall, or autumn and winter. And I've only spring and summer. I'll probably watch autumn in a couple months, and then I'll watch winter in a couple months. But this is a Tale of Summer. This is, I wish I had taken notes for this because it has some amazing actors in it that I'm never going to remember their names.
It has Melville Poupeau as the lead actor.
Oh, is that who that is?
He's been in a lot of stuff. I just saw him in a film called One Fine Morning.
One Fine Morning.
Yes.
He's much older now.
Yeah, he's great. He's been in a ton of stuff. Because
these are 90s films.
Yeah, that's like 96.
Yeah, these all four take place in the 90s, which is cool because I don't have a lot of 90s. I was a baby in the 90s, so like I missed out on a lot of this style of filmmaking. Like the 90s don't have a distinct style in my brain because I haven't seen enough of them. And this is probably different than those anyway because it's French and it's Romer. And
in my
does his own
experience,
thing.
they are, yeah.
But yeah, like you were saying, I didn't talk too much about it when you were talking about it because I knew I was going to get to it here. But Romer, it's like if you like Before Sunrise, watch all of Romer's films because that's like what he does. It's just like he writes these incredibly realistic conversations between these characters that are like literally just like passing in each other's lives and having and he does this. He actually does summer a lot. Like you said, The Green Ray was a summer film. This is a summer film. I also watched this recently, which is Pauline at the Beach, which is another summer film. It's like a setting that he likes to go back to. And
is it because people are vacationing and meeting new people and
probably this is about totally chance encounter of two, the main lead like you said, and the main actress who actually is in this as well 10 years earlier, and she's great. She is definitely like I was gonna say my takeaway from this film. I loved her in this movie. She's so like you've seen this film.
Yeah,
Margot.
Last week, I think.
Oh, okay. She plays Margot in this film, and she is incredible. And you're mad at him the whole time for not just grabbing her and like running away with her.
Of course, she's the one at the beginning. She's the waitress.
Amanda Langlet. Yes. So Margot is played by Amanda Langlet. She is the waitress, and she is. So this is a story about an indecisive, 20-year-old guy in his 20s who I just connected with so much. Like that's mainly the reason I love this film so much, is like it's just me on screen, like which you and I understand if you watch this movie and you just hate these characters.
No, it's funny. I was just thinking he because you see him with a guitar case at first.
Yeah.
And all I can think of after Barbie is like, okay, come in, I'm gonna play my guitar.
No, I wasn't.
He doesn't do that.
I wasn't a musician, but
like,
I was an artist. I went to art school. I was a very shy, very quiet guy. I did have girls that were interested that I was just too scared to ever even like make a move. There was opportunities that I just didn't seize because I don't know, I just got in my head, and that's exactly what this movie's about. There's like it's like a beach trip. Everyone's on vacation, like you said. He already has like a kind of girlfriend. That's another thing you have to get into when you're watching French films, is like completely different rules when it comes to relationships and sex. And I think the drinking age is like 15 there.
Yeah,
and I think like the year of consent is lower as well, because like she's like 15 in this film. It's very different. You gotta get your head around it, but because he already has like kind of a girlfriend, but then this other girl comes in, and then he meets this new girl. Like it's all of this.
Yeah, kind of a girlfriend. I feel like he comes in and he's this loner character who does like why are you even here?
Yeah, and
it kind of explains himself.
Yeah,
but
so it's a coming of age story.
He winds up with like 3 girls basically, and like it's like the opposite problem.
Yeah,
of like how do you. And he can't seem to make the right decisions, or decide he can't make any decisions about
and I won't
who he actually wants to be with.
Yeah, and I won't spoil the ending because I feel weird recommending this because I absolutely loved it, but I can see people hating this film because the characters are
I don't think
kind of I mean, I can see people seeing these characters as unlikable. I found them as very realistic and very relatable, but I can see people who aren't like this to be like, gosh, just this is boring. I don't want to watch this. Like, this is not a fun movie. Don't write movies about this. And that's how Grace, she wasn't that bad, but she did watch this with me, and she stopped around the halfway point, or like a little bit past the halfway point, and right before his girlfriend got back and things started actually happening.
Oh, okay.
I was like, if you would have just stayed, you would have seen stuff actually happening. But yeah, the first half is super. It's like Before Sunrise. It's just him and Margot walking around. Like
that's what Green Ray is like too.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this is what he does. He writes screenplays and makes them into movies. Not screenplays. He writes plays, stage plays, and then makes them into movies. But beautiful scenery, and this one especially is gorgeous.
Yeah,
like, it's all on the beach. It's incredible, like castles everywhere.
I bet the Blu-ray looks really good too.
It does. It looks fantastic. It's streaming on Criterion Channel right now if you want to watch it. But the Blu-ray, if you can get your hands on it, the set is amazing. They all come with like incredible painting, and they got like they all come with like a prop from the film that's from the restaurant.
Oh my gosh, it is.
It's so cool.
So so you saw the Spring one.
I saw Spring.
So how does that compare to this? What's that one about?
That is not as good as this one, but I still enjoyed it. It's more of
or we have to talk about that in Spring.
Yeah, we only talk about summer movies right now.
Right.
But yeah, I'll tell you about it. Tell you about it later.
Right.
But so my Night at Mods and this are like competing for my favorite Eric Rohmer film, and it's because I'm convinced me and Eric Rohmer are just like the same person.
And that's like a Christmas movie, isn't it?
It takes place around Christmas.
Yeah. Sorry, same person.
Yeah, he like the more I watch of him, the more I see himself in his characters, and it's just like, I don't know. I understand you, dude. You're like you're me. Just
soulmates across time.
40 years earlier. Very weird guy, but he makes awesome movies that I love. I've been trying to. I plan on continuing this. Someone told me in the comments to make this an Eric. I hope you're making this an Eric Rohmer summer, and I'm trying to. So I'm watching. I watched this one. I'm watching Pauline at the Beach, and I'm gonna watch The Green Ray in the next couple days.
Of course, I haven't seen it in a while. I hope it actually holds up to when I'm
sure.
I was on
I'm sure
summer movie high when I watched that. So
yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna love it. Everything. I've liked everything I've watched of his. I haven't loved everything I've watched of, especially some of the earlier Six Moral Tales, where they're kind of shorts and they're just kind of. But like this one, My Night at Mods, Love in the Afternoon. Have you seen that?
No, not that one.
That's a great movie about like fidelity. That's a little more plotty. There's like a marriage that is kind of. They're trying to deal with that.
There's another one I've seen that's also at the beach.
Another one?
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's in the Six Moral Tales, I think, isn't it?
Oh, the collector?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good one too. I love his stuff. Eric Rohmer is the man.
That's cool. I like that you have I've discovered this person.
I've just fallen in love with him overnight. Yeah. Like the last couple of years, I just got into his stuff. I watched My Night at Mods at Christmas, and then I went to the rest of the Six Moral Tales. Now I'm branching out to his other stuff. I would check out his stuff. There's some of it on Max right now. Connor was actually asking me recently how to get into Eric Rohmer, and I was like, 2 of the Six Moral Tales are on Max. I would start with those 2, and then if you like those 2, go to the rest of the Six Moral Tales box set from Criterion, and then you're gonna have to start getting creative because a lot of his stuff is not available on disc or streaming or even to rent in America. That's why I bought this set, because it wasn't even available to rent in America. And then of course after I buy it, it's on the channel now. Criterion Channel, HBO Max. Check out his stuff, and I highly recommend it. What is your number 1?
We're at number 1. This is also sort of a tie.
Okay. So you're letting the popular culture influence this pick a little bit? Like you're trying to pick the...
I think it's an iconic summer movie.
Okay. Mine is definitely not, but it's... I love it.
That's cool too. So we have a nice balance.
Yeah.
And these movies are insane, and they are, I'll just say it's Beach Party. I have Beach Blanket Bingo in my book because it's the best one, I think. It's the most well-rounded of the films. So it's a series of, depending on how you count, typically 7 films that were made by American International Pictures back in the day, AIP. Okay, so
what is it? I'm on the edge of my seat.
So no, it's Beach Party. It's Beach Blanket Bingo.
Okay. You don't have a copy of it.
No, I don't.
I was waiting for you to whip out a copy.
I have like an old DVD somewhere. I never upgraded. I don't think Beach Party itself is actually available anywhere necessarily. Like I've watched it online. It's probably somewhere. I don't know.
I got you.
There's a Blu-ray.
I've never even heard of this film. I've never even heard of it. I'm outside the loop.
I'll just show it in the book. So these were 60s.
I'm a plebe.
So anyway, what I was gonna say was AIP had realized that there was this like teen audience.
Yeah. That
is sort of untapped. And what they did was actually do like they would do panels, like research insight panels, essentially into what teens wanted to. They would literally ask them for ideas about film titles, and then they would build a film around that, essentially.
Wow.
And they had certain things.
So Hollywood has not changed.
About, you had to have a certain amount of sex and violence and blah, 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 and quirkiness and rebellion, sort of breaking rules and stuff like that in the films. I'll just show the book. Beach Blanket Bingo.
Beach Blanket Bingo.
There's the poster.
I remember looking at that, but I don't know what that is. If this is, you said 60s.
60. This was 65. So they started, Beach Party was the very first one.
I gotta watch this.
So it's insane, and it's Buster Keaton even has some cameos in it and stuff.
Old Buster
Don
Keaton.
Rickles shows up as a different character every. The first one is it's a bunch of teenagers at the beach in Malibu, and they're just being teenagers, right? 60s teenagers, very sort of sanitized teenagers.
Yeah. for movies.
For movies. And this, I should also mention that Gidget had come out a few years ago. Do you know Gidget?
I read about it in your book.
Also a book. Very important. I almost thought about putting that on here, but it's one of those like more 50s, traditional 50s drama kind of things.
Yeah, now we're getting the 60s. We're getting crazy.
And the film, and they sort of made surfing
cool again.
Cool period.
Cool
like
period.
Brought it. They were hugely popular. The book too. That's one of the things that led to these films, actually. And there's actually shot in the same place, which is cool. It's a lot of fun.
It's on the front of your book, I'm seeing. Yeah.
Yes, and that's Gidget.
Did you have any say in the pics on the front?
I did, and actually, a good segue. They asked me what if I had any ideas for the cover, and I was like, oh, well, I love the poster for Beach Party
because it's a wave.
It's Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon on I guess they're on a surfboard or something, and there's like a big wave behind them, and the letters are all different colors.
That's cool that you.
So they took that and made this out of it, and then like included, And I actually did say yes, please include the shark. That's all I had. And there's Do the Right Thing, and there's League of Their Own and stuff. Yeah, which
my wife's going to be so upset that League of Their Own is not included in my list. She loves that movie.
It's not on mine either. I was thinking about baseball. Like there's
baseball movies.
There's tons of good baseball movies. I don't like. Bull Durham probably is one of my all-time favorites. Is that really summery? I don't know. Like The Sandlot would have been a really fun one.
Sandlot is one I watched this year with my son. Too early. He got scared by the dog.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Sandlot's great.
Beach Party. So it's so the first one is sort of meta in a way. Like there's the kids on the beach, and then there's I think it's Cliff Robertson, and he plays basically a anthropologist who is studying the ways of teenagers.
Yes.
And like their language and their like sexual habits and all these things. And so it's kind of like closely. It's almost like the kids are under a microscope, and then of course but it's zany and like weird and quirky and kind of stupid. This is why
I'm not getting a sense of this movie at all. I think I just need to watch it.
I don't know how to describe or just read my article in the book. I will. Like there's a mermaid and so Beach Blanket Bingo is a mermaid character.
Sold. Mythological creatures, I'm sold.
There's like a sort of a silent movie Keystone Cops segment in the end. A chase sequence thing. There's a biker gang that pops up that's ridiculous.
That's amazing.
And then there's always like little musical sequences kind of peppered in. So the second movie, Muscle Beach Party.
Oh, it's a series.
Has like Stevie Wonder in it and stuff. He's called Little Stevie Wonder.
That's who I would think of when I was thinking of a Muscle Beach.
Yeah, it's so weird. Buster Keaton is in it as like you see him painting a painting on the beach or something, and then he gets exactly. There's something where he gets like hooked by a fishing rod or something.
You've already sold me, man. You don't have to tell me anything. Like
they're totally insane, and I think perfect for the summer because there's just like again like very low stakes.
Kind of like those
wholesome fun.
Kind of like those Elvis movies where it's just kind of like
yes.
Just a fun. There's a summer one in your book from Elvis.
Yes, it's with Beach Blanket Bingo. It's Blue Hawaii, which I considered putting in as a full entry, and then decided like no,
it's a double feature. You got to watch those two together. Okay,
right.
Sweet. Let us know in the comments.
But I will say
there's Blanket Bingo.
There's 7 movies in that series. Those are the best, but I think you could watch any of them. Muscle Beach Party, Bikini Beach.
I have not heard of any of these much.
Ski Party, I think was Pajama Party. Ski Party was a spinoff. And then there's The Ghost in the Invisible Bikini. And Dr. Something in the Bikini Machine or something. I don't remember. How to Stuff a Wild Bikini. That's the one where
that sounds fun.
Buster Keaton, Frankie Avalon's character is in the South Pacific, like in the army or something, and he
you sound like the Ernest movie.
Consults like a witch doctor who sends a seagull to spy on his girlfriend in California. It's a little creepy.
Now that I'm
totally insane, isn't that crazy? Anyway, they're a lot of fun. You should watch.
It's a missed opportunity that we didn't get Ernest Goes to the Beach. Have you ever seen the Ernest movies?
I haven't seen that one.
No, it's not.
Ernest Goes to Jail.
Missed opportunity that we didn't get an Ernest Goes to the Beach because that would have been great. My number one. Also, let me know if you've seen this one. Let me know if you've seen his number one. Mine is also a lesser known film, another potentially aggressively indie film that you may not have the stomach for, but 2013.
Is it French?
No, it's American.
Is it animated?
No. It's still very much a DJ film. It is a coming of age story. It is a little film from 2013, official selection at Sundance, The Way, Way Back. Have you seen this film?
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness. I was about to kick him out of the house. Oh, I love this movie so much.
It's okay. You kick me out. We're done. So.
I loved this movie in the theater. I loved it the next time I watched it. The next time I watched it, I've watched it so many times. Is
Toni Collette in that too?
Toni Collette's the mom, of course, because she is the like piece that holds all of these indie films together.
Yep.
You've got Steve Carell in his most douchebag role he's ever done. Like he is, you hate him in this from the first scene. The first scene in the car. You remember that scene?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I saw it once. It's been a while.
Well, yeah.
I liked it.
You see a lot of movies. So, but young DJ, this movie left an impression on me. It says from the studio that brought you Little Miss Sunshine and Juno. So yeah, Foxlight Pictures, Searchlight Pictures. Look at this cast. Listen to this cast. Steve Carell, Toni Collette, Allison Janney, Anna Sophia Robb, which, what happened to her? She was amazing. Why'd she stop acting? Sam Rockwell, Maya Rudolph, and Liam James as the star. That's Liam James right there. Look at that. That's such a great cover. And there's the poster of this is a really cool poster too, where he's like underwater.
It's like a male version of the Almost Famous poster.
Oh, that's true. Toni Collette plays his mom, and Steve Carell is her new boyfriend. They go to stay with him at his beach house on this island, and they are on there for the whole summer. It's a summer movie, like through and through, and it's about him getting a job at Water Whiz Water Park. That's why I'm wearing the way back shirt right now. I've been wearing it the whole time. Way back. This is my number one.
Should have guessed.
But dude, Sam Rockwell in this movie is the coolest guy. Like I aspire to be Sam Rockwell. Like this kid has the worst life. His mom is not standing up for him. Her new husband is a jerk. He's just miserable. He's another super shy kid who, like, when I was this age and I was like this, I always hated these kind of movies where it was like, the ending of the movie is you finally get out of your shell. And I was like, I don't need to get out of my shell. I am fine.
I
just
like my shell.
Being an introvert.
Leave
and just
me alone. Stop judging me.
Now, of course, I'm old and I'm much wiser. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand. And Grace helped me do that. And Sam Rockwell is that character for him. He is the only the only person that like treats this kid like an adult and like doesn't talk down to him, and is so funny in this movie. Sam Rockwell is hilarious in this movie. He's the most likable guy, and he like gets him into this water park, pushes him out of his shell, gets him to have these experiences in the summer. And it's just, I don't know, it's the most feel good movie ever. Like another one that I popped in today while I was working to like just like get a feel for it and listen to the soundtrack.
Get you in the mood.
And I had to turn. I got like halfway through it. Like I got to turn this off. I'm not actually working. I'm just watching this movie because it's so good. But yeah, it's just a basic coming of age story. The directors are actually two directors that I told you they're all directed by two directors, but they worked on Community, I think. It's Jim Rash and Nat Faxon. The soundtrack in this is also really, really great. It has a lot of like summer sounding songs. There's a Power Hungry Animals. Yep. Have you heard of that song? At the end, that's like the big climax. I don't want to give anything away, but like if you like coming of age stories, if you like summer movies, beach movies, like movies at water parks, I don't know, that's a very specific niche. I don't know if there's many of those. Theme park movies you could probably do. Adventureland and Zombieland and
National Lampoon's Vacation.
Yeah. If you haven't seen this, give it a try. I think it's for everyone. I think anyone can check this movie out. I mentioned it on my TikTok a few videos ago, and like, because the prompt was like name a movie that not enough people talk about, and I brought it up, and like the comments were like swarming, like way back. Yes. So like,
okay, good.
Everybody who has seen this movie, I think, loves it a lot, and it's got some pretty good rating and reviews on Letterboxd. So yeah, I highly recommend it. I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, you know the basic premise. It's a coming of age story. Kid finding himself on that one summer. Like, I like a lot of these actually are coming of age stories like condensed into one day or 1 week or one season or one summer. So,
yeah. Well, I think part of the summer that's like, I talked about this in the Call Me By Name thing, like summer ends. And so there's like, there's a sense of time running out too in some of these. Yeah. And like you have these really compacted moments of self-realization or whatever, relationships, or you know, people come in and out of your life, or a place that you stay that you have to leave or something like that. Yeah. There's always kind of a
this is a big pivotal moment in his life. He's dealing with his parents' divorce, and also, I don't know, like I said, I want to aspire to be Sam Rockwell. Like I want to be the kind of guy that like gets kids on their way. I don't know. I think it's a really inspiring film, and I think it is just a just a feel good, beautiful film. I'm gonna have to finish it because I got halfway through earlier today, and I want to watch it. I want to watch it now. So maybe the rest of this week.
I need to watch it now too.
You should. You should check it out. We're gonna go downstairs and watch something right now because we're finished with the video. That's our top 10. Real quick, any honorable mentions that you wanted to mention that didn't make it? Because I have a few.
I mean, I cheated a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of films already. So.
I do want to say, like, going way back, not way back. Almost as ridiculous as the Beach Party movies is Moon Over Miami, which was a movie that I was like trying to come up with like studio stuff early on. It's funny, like during the wars, the periods of wartime or whatever, there's not that many summer movies that pop up. I don't know if it's just because of the vibe about, there's not like disposable income in the same way that there are other times. Like during Depression, there weren't that many to choose from, and like World War I or World War II, and so this is a World War II era film that is about women who go to Miami to find a husband, essentially, and it's just like a really colorful musical thing. Betty Grable's the main character, but so fun and like ridiculous, and like if you're into musicals of that era, check that one out. Moon Over Miami. Cool.
I mentioned Pauline at the Beach. Another, and you mentioned The Collector, a summer movie that Eric Romer also did in the Six Moral Tales is Claire's Knee, which is like one of my favorites in that set. Like Claire's Knee is great. Another Eric Romer film. Some animated stuff. I actually highly recommend Lilo and Stitch.
I was wondering if that was what you were gonna pull out earlier.
I went for Three Caballeros because it means more to me personally. I didn't see this one as much growing up, but this is during the experimental era, like early 2000s. A lot of people don't go back to, and they think it's like one of Disney's weaker. I don't agree. I think I like all of those except for Home on the Range, which is just an abomination and it's terrible.
Yeah,
horrible film. Yeah. But
it's a different video.
This might be the best of that era. Like this is actually a really good movie about being like she's an orphan. She grows up with her sister, sibling relationships, and
music.
Yeah, another family movie. Great music, which it's an all Elvis soundtrack if you like Elvis. But yeah, very slept on Disney film that I think is really good. And
although
it's all about,
Stitch is like a huge character now.
It's weird, yeah. He's got his own TV show, and like the memorabilia sells because he's like a cute little guy. But
and the theme parks is always running around,
Yeah.
But
I don't hear enough about the film.
Yeah.
And this is like a 2-movie collection. I don't know anything about that second one, but the first one is really good. And another animated film, not Disney but Pixar, Luca. Just came out.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I really enjoyed Luca. It's like an Italian summer, like before school's about to start. Another amazing soundtrack.
There's one reviewer that called it "Calamari by Your Name."
Oh, is that?
Which was one of my favorite short reviews.
Yeah, so that's great. Another one that is an off the wall pick that I wish I would have worked in, but it just didn't make my list. I've only seen it once. Daisies. Have you seen Daisies?
Yes.
Crazy movie, right?
Yes.
Czech film by Vera Kitalova. Just insane, like crazy design, like practical, like it's kind of like it's got some like Carol Zeman in it with like all the like.
It's like anarchy on screen.
Yeah,
basically.
It's amazing, and there's a lot of beach sunbathing scenes that like tie the film together. So it takes place in the summer. Highly recommend Daisies if you want just a weird out there Czech movie experience.
Do you know the film Breaking Away? You heard of that?
No.
It's my book as well, so check it out. It's from like the late 70s, 79, I think. Indie film that it's about, it's one of those middle America things again. So it's set in Indiana at Bloomington around Indiana University. And it's basically about the kids who live in the town versus all the college students who actually go to the university. Mm-hmm. And it's a biking movie. It's a cycling film.
Oh.
So it's 4 guys in the townies who like, challenge.
Speaking of Luca,
who challenge everybody at the like bike race that they have every year. Yeah. There's like I don't know. I'm not into cycling necessarily, but it's a really fun movie and it's underseen. It was a big hit at the time. One of those like kind of like Little Miss Sunshine that sort of grew by word of mouth. Yeah. Really sweet, but also like just a quirky like buddy comedy thing among kids. And I included it in here because it's sort of takes place during the school year, but it's one of those existential summer movies. It starts in the summer where they're talking about having graduated and like they don't know what to do with their lives, and it's that's like kind of like The Graduate is him trying to figure out what to do. Summer of indecision, as some people have said. So it's one of those, and totally worth watching.
I'll just mention one more because my wife would be very angry if I didn't. The Parent Trap. Maureen O'Hara, one of my favorite actresses ever. Delightful film, and it's from the 60s.
Yeah, 61.
Everyone's heard of The Parent Trap because there is a remake, which actually is pretty good too. Have you seen it?
A long time ago I saw it. The Lindsay Lohan film.
Remade in the 90s with Lindsay Lohan. It's actually a fun, delightful film. I watched that one a lot growing up. I had the clamshell VHS case. And
I think they're showing that at the Plaza this month.
The 90s one?
The 90s one.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I have to take Grace to that because we both grew up with that film. That was like one film that Grace's dad would actually watch with them. Like he would like pretend like he wasn't into it, but he would watch it. This is a good film. But the first one, I've only seen the original once, but I grew up with the 90s remake. And they're both
really
great.
Good. It's just it's a good comedy. And
it's another summer camp movie. Like
summer camp movie and self-discovery in a very weird way. And it's
I think we're learning something about summer that for some reason is coming of age movies like a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think so. And
I guess that's where you learn everything. Not in school. In the school you learn nothing.
Well, I think
in summer.
So my theory was that when you get outside of your regular routine, you're able to kind of look at your own life in a different way.
Yeah,
and like
look inward,
take stock of things,
process things.
Exactly. One more.
All right.
The Endless Summer, which is a very famous surfing documentary where these two guys are looking for like the perfect wave essentially, and so they travel around the world chasing in different climates and stuff, like chasing the waves. Documentary, and
I'm glad you got some documentaries on the list.
Very classic and just cool. Like there's no plot at all, obviously, and it's kind of a travelogue because they go to Africa, they go to Australia, and they go to Hawaii, and all. You probably need to see that. That's a must see.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you got some documentaries on the list because I didn't have any for summer films. So.
I guess I should say like Dirty Dancing is another one that a lot of people probably think of.
Yeah, if we had my wife in this video, there would have been probably 10 other films that we didn't have because we have very different tastes. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this for me. This is a lot of fun. This is a lot of talking.
This is super fun.
Hopefully you guys made it through. I had a feeling we were going to go for 2 hours. These usually go pretty long, but I had a great time.
Yeah, me too.
Enjoyed it a lot. I have not seen a lot of yours. I had some that you hadn't seen, so
yeah, vice versa.
Hopefully you found this video helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for listening. And please let us know in the comments below what your favorite summer movies are. Go check out John's book. Thank you so much for coming in and doing this with me.
Of course.
But yeah, let me know in the comments what your favorite summer movies are. Let us know what you think of our picks. And until next time, keep collecting, and we'll be back with more videos real soon.
Thanks, guys.